Hi, welcome back.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to have you back today.
Thank you.
So before we get started, I want to do a mood check. We know that what we've been dealing with some problems with being anxious and feeling nervous and stuff with during tasks and how they've been affecting us. So today I want to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10. I want you to tell me your mood today as far as being anxious. So 1 being I'm not really that anxious, and 10 being I'm feeling very anxious. Can you tell me what that is today?
I'm thinking about a 6.
A 6?
A 6.
Okay. And okay. So you're saying out of 6 you're feeling very anxious.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So today we're going to set an agenda. We're going to go quite a few things. Like I mentioned before in the other session, our first session, I do take notes. So at times I'll be going down and writing down things, but just so you know, and at times I will be interrupting you just in case, you start to get off track or I need to write something down, okay? So just so you know, right?
All right.
All right. So like I said, today our agenda, we're gonna give me an update of your thoughts this week since our last session. Tell me some of the thoughts that you've had. We're gonna go over the homework that you did this week, and then we're gonna set a new agenda, and we're gonna try to tackle 2 new problems that you would like to discuss today. That's very important to you. And then after that, we're going to rewrite some new homework for the next week. And then we're going to get a summary, and then we're going to get some feedback from you telling me how you felt the session went, and I'll give some as well, and then we'll move forward. Is that okay?
That's okay.
All right. Great. So, if you could tell me a little bit about this week, some of the thoughts that you've had this week, as far as
Well, when I try to just when I want to do something, I feel like I'm being held back because I'm thinking, oh, it's just not going to turn out right, and it's just not going to turn out right. I'm going to mess it up, and then I don't do it at all.
Okay. So you're telling me the thoughts that you've had are that you can't do some things right, is that correct?
Yeah, it's just, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when trying to complete a task, you feel as though like the thoughts that pop in your head is, I'm not going to do this right, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So like I told you before, just doing a little review of what we talked about last week. The main thing that we do with CBT is basically changing those automatic thoughts of I can't do this right, so that you're able to complete tasks, and so that you feeling anxious and those thoughts will stop holding you back from doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're trying to do and what we're going to be challenging today are some of those thoughts you've had this week,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to modify them so it changes your feelings and it changes your action so that you're able to complete some tasks and start those tasks. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So let's go over a little bit about homework last week. Do you remember what we were doing last week for homework?
Yes, I think it was a thought record.
Yes. Were you able to complete that?
Yes, I think I was. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you bring that in today?
I did.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the thoughts you've had?
Well, let's see. I was thinking about, I tried to get a list of things like I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just hobbies and maybe some things I want to accomplish at work, and
Mm-hmm.
make some new friends, maybe meet the neighbors. And that's about as far as I got. And then couldn't get any further than that. At least I wrote it down.
So you wrote down those thoughts during those times?
Yes.
The task you were trying to complete, is that correct?
Yeah, the task I was trying to complete. And I said, I tried to write the first step. Like, in order to get there, I'm going to do this. But every time I tried to write that first step down that I was going to do to get there, then it's just,
Okay, so during that time, let's say you're making a to-do list. This is what I'm trying to understand. And maybe you were having a thought that you couldn't get it completed. Were you able to write down that thought in that thought record? Were you able to write down what you were thinking and why you couldn't complete that to-do list, or why you couldn't do that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was thinking it's just not. It's not gonna turn out right. You're not gonna do it. It's just not gonna be right. And you might as well not even do it.
Okay. So on the scale of 1 to 10, can you think you can rate your progress on how far you've moved as far as being anxious? Was writing down those thoughts helpful to you to recognize them? Like you were doing your to-do list and you stopped and you realized you had an automatic thought that didn't help you progress. Do you think writing down those thoughts help you identify them and recognize them?
I think it did.
Okay. All right. So do you think that, like I said, it's a collaborative effort. So would that something that you think that you would like to do next week as well, to continue that thought record and recognizing and identifying those thoughts when they come up?
I think I would.
Okay. All right. So right now we're going to prioritize our agenda and we're going to discuss what you would like to discuss today. What is one of the main problems that you would want to go over today? And tell me the most important problem you probably want to discuss today and the second most important problem. And we'll see if we'll have time to do both of those today.
Okay. I would say my most important problem on my job, if I try for this leadership position, I'm overwhelmed by the thoughts that either I'm just going to fail it, I'm not going to do well, and that, my coworkers are going to be, not like me or, be jealous or be upset with me, and that's stopping me.
Okay. And do you have a second important thing that maybe you want to discuss? So that the first thing that you feel is the most important you want to discuss today is, if you apply for a leadership job or something like that at work, that you're either going to fail or your coworkers may not like you. Is there something second and important that you like to discuss today?
I would like to be more outgoing with my neighbors.
Okay. So hopefully we'll be able to discuss both of those today if the time allows. However, if it doesn't, we can bring that back up during the next session if it's still important to you, or we can bring up something else next week. It's up to you.
Okay.
All right, great. So what we want to do today, we want to talk about that automatic thought that I think I want to make sure I heard you correctly. So are you saying that if you apply for this job, for this leadership position at work, are you saying that then you might fail, or that your friends may not like you? Is that correct?
Yes, that's it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. How much do you believe this thought?
100%.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least and 10 being the greatest, how much do you believe this thought?
10.
Okay. All right. And how do you feel when you think this thought? How are you feeling when you're thinking this?
Overwhelmed, nervous.
Okay. Overwhelmed.
Scared.
Okay. And how strongly do you feel overwhelmed and nervous from 1 to 10? 1 being I'm a little overwhelmed, I'm a little nervous, or 10 being I'm very overwhelmed, I'm very nervous and afraid.
9.
Okay. So when does this thought when does this thought normally occur? During a certain situation, when you think, if I apply for this, then that means I'm going to fail, or that my friends aren't going to like me. When is a specific situation that this thought comes to your head?
I would say when I hear the others talking, like we're in the break room or something, or I go up on the message board and there's a position open and I see other people talking about how they might apply for it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think, I should try that too.
Mm-hmm.
And if I hear them talking in the break room about a position that's opened up or someone's leaving, and I think, that might be interesting, I might like to try that.
And then the other thought comes up.
Yeah, like, don't even bother.
Okay. Do you notice anything happening in your body? Do you notice any, feelings or just anything happening within your body? Like, do you shake, or do you notice your hands sweating? Do you notice any body?
I seem to breathe heavy and I might get a slight headache.
Okay. All right. So then after you have this thought, what do you do next? What happens next? You think this thought, what do you do next?
I try to make it stop.
Okay, what do you do?
I think about something else.
Okay. Okay. All right, so what we want to do, we want to really challenge how valid this thought that you are having, that if I apply for this position, then I will fail or my friends will not like me. We want to challenge how valid that thought may be, because sometimes it can be true and sometimes it can't be true. And so we want to see, how valid it is. And so what's the evidence that supports this idea that if I apply for this job, then I will fail? What's the evidence that you feel like supports this?
Well, I'm not sure about the evidence. I guess maybe it's something new to me, and when something is new to you, you're just not sure, how you're going to succeed, and that's just a big fear factor.
Okay, so not necessarily, there really isn't any hard evidence that says that you're going to fail at this, is that correct?
I guess not.
Okay. And is there any evidence against this idea? There's evidence that says that you actually may, progress and succeed. Do you think there's evidence of that?
Well, sometimes I feel like I'm just as good as everybody else, but then sometimes I feel, well, maybe I'm not. So I'm kind of back and forth.
Okay. Well, and what you're saying, those are feelings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And thoughts. However, I want to know, is there any evidence that maybe you will do a good job? Like, you still have a job and, does your boss look up to you? And, just what is the evidence that supports that maybe you will do a good job?
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm still there, and I haven't been written up or anything, and
Mm-hmm.
I get my yearly raise like everyone else.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so now I want to think and give you another perspective. Let's say it is true.
Mm-hmm.
What's the worst thing you think that could happen if you do fail at this position?
I won't have a job.
Okay. And so if it happens, how would you cope with that?
Not having a job,
Mm-hmm.
that would be very devastating.
Okay. Now can you tell me what is the best thing that could happen?
The best thing that could happen
Mm-hmm.
is that I succeed at the job and really enjoy it and everything's okay.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think is the most realistic outcome? So we saw that, we spoke about how if the worst thing that could happen is that you would lose your job. However, you say it'd be hard to cope with because it would be devastating. But do you think that you would die if you lost your job?
I don't think I would die, but I think I would feel like I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. But
And
you could survive this,
It would
right?
be difficult.
It'd be difficult, but you could survive, right?
I could.
Okay. And then the best thing you say that could happen is that you could succeed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then that you would do well in this position and it would be very helpful to your company. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the most realistic outcome out of those?
Maybe not being afraid and trying it anyway. And
Okay.
just seeing what happens.
So I see that you might want to give it a chance, and that's what I'm hearing from you. So let's say, as far as outcome, what do you think is the most possible? Like, let's just say you do apply for this position. The most realistic thing is, do you think that you would lose your job, or do you think that you could succeed, or what's that middle ground? What do you think is the most realistic thing that could happen if you applied for this position?
Hopefully I could maintain.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the most realistic outcome from what you're saying is that you feel as though that you could maintain and that you actually could do it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think the effect of believing the automatic thought that if I apply for this, I will fail? What do you think that effect is having on you?
It's holding me back.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that maybe changing that thinking could be helpful to you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. So let's use an example. Let's say you have a friend, say a best friend, right? And they're in the same situation as you. What would you tell them?
I would say, well, just in case you're wrong about failing, just give it a try anyway, and you'll never know until you try.
Hmm. Do you think any of this information or this advice you just gave him, you think this would be helpful to yourself?
I guess I could think about that.
Okay. So I just want to tie in back how what we just did there. We were challenging your thoughts there, and we were going over how, like, it's the worst thing and the best thing. And let's say the worst thing happened, and you lose your job. You'll live if you lose your job. You won't die. It won't be the best, outcome, but you'll survive. Is that correct? And
That's correct.
also, we found out the best situation would be you succeeding, and also the reality is you'll be able to maintain. And some of that advice you gave him was kind of, if a friend was in a situation, it's kind of something you might want to think about, right?
Right.
Okay. So, I want us to decide what kind of homework do you think you want to set for yourself this upcoming week?
Try to push past the fear and nervousness and try something anyway, regardless of what happens. And I might be surprised.
Okay. So how can we change that and incorporate that into like an assignment?
Try a couple of things during the week that have kind of make me really fearful and nervous, and just write down the outcome.
Okay. So what we can do as far as your as far as dealing with your problem, because you would like to apply for this job, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we can write down some steps for you to do this week, or maybe you can come up with some steps you would like to complete this week, as far as helping yourself get past those thoughts that say, I'm going to fail if I do this. I'm not going to make it if I do this. So I think it's important that you keep the thought record. I don't know how you would feel about that.
Oh, I'm fine with it.
And then along with the thought record, continue that this week. I think maybe it's up to you if you feel like it's a good idea. Possibly after you write that automatic thought, that whenever you're feeling anxious and you hear those negative thoughts, maybe we could maybe we could I'm so sorry. Maybe you can write down another how do I say this? Maybe you can validate that thought, and maybe you could try to change that thought and write that under the automatic thought that you feel. Do you think that's something that you can do this week?
Yeah, I think I can give it a try.
Okay. And I failed to mention and let you know that sometimes we have these cognitive distortions, which are, our thoughts. We have these distorting thoughts, these thoughts that are negative, that aren't helpful to us. And I feel as though when we challenge those thoughts of you, feeling like you're going to fail if you apply for something, it reminds me of a cognitive distortion called fortune telling. And that basically says that you're predicting the future and you're predicting negative outcomes. Like you're saying, if I apply for this, then I'm going to fail. And this sounds like fortune telling because we don't know the future,
That's true.
So, just try to remember that and try not to, do some fortune telling because, that's not, that's a little supernatural, but just try to keep that in mind. So like I said, just so we make sure we both understand what the homework is about, we're going to write that thought record, and then we're going to challenge it if we can, and if we can't, we're going to write down what we would like to think differently instead under that automatic thought. So we're writing that thought, and then we're going to write what we want to think differently, or we want to challenge it, okay? Okay. So I want to give a summary of some of the things that we discussed today. We went over it this earlier today. You said your mood was feeling like a 6. And we set the agenda. We talked about your previous week and how you were feeling, afraid and, just nervous about trying new things and things like that and applying for those positions. And you let me know that you did your thought record, so I'm proud of you for that, and I appreciate you working hard on that. And then we set our agenda on far as like what was the most important thing for us to talk about today, and that was you applying for that position at work and feeling that you would fail. And so we challenged those thoughts, and we tried to help you see a different way of looking at that. So I'm hoping that was helpful. And then the homework that we said was continue that thought record, and then under each thought we're gonna write we're gonna either how we're gonna challenge it or another thought that we would like to think instead. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I would like to know, do you have any feedback on how you felt the session went, or is there anything that I can improve on, or that I can bring up next time that will make you feel like this was a good session and you got everything covered?
I think I have. I think I feel more positive. I think like I'm moving to a better direction, and I like the homework. I think that'll work for me.
Okay, great. Well, I think you did well. I think you did well. I'm so proud of you for
Thank
completing your
you.
assignments and things. And I look forward to seeing you next week at this time. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.